Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBayCrochet.com and welcome to video number 7. This is the last video for the chevrons and diamond throw, and I'm real excited the way this came out. Let me give you a real quick look on what I've got so far. Okay, if you finished video number 6, you should have ended on row 198. We actually have 2 more rows to do just to kind of finish out this pattern. And this is what you'll do. You'll need to do row 199, which is a repeat of row 7 for the chevrons and row 39 for the diamonds. After you do that, we're going to do row 200, and that's going to be repeating row 8 for the chevrons, which is just single crochet through those 22 stitches, and row 40 for the diamonds. Okay, so when you end, your ending row should look something like this. Okay, once you finish that, now you're ready for the perimeter round. Okay, to begin the perimeter round, I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn to start with the front side facing. This first part is very easy. We are just going to work a single crochet in each stitch all the way across until we get to the next corner. So let's go ahead and do that. Single crochet in each stitch across until you get to the next corner. Okay, once we get to that last stitch, we're going to work 3 single crochets in that last stitch to kind of turn the corner. Okay, just like that. Okay, after working the 3 single crochets in the corner, the instructions say to work 4 single crochets for every 5 row ends. And what this will do is this will keep this edge from being too wavy. Full disclosure here, I did try working 1 single crochet in each stitch across the row ends, and it did give me a slight wave that I didn't like. So I'm going to follow the directions on it this time, and I'm going to work 4 single crochets, or at least 1 in 4 row ends. Okay, just like I did here. I'm going to skip the next one, and then I'm going to work 4 more. So we're working 4 single crochets per 5 row ends evenly. Okay, so there's another group of 4 that I've worked there. I'm going to skip the next one and do 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then skip another one. I'm going to do that all the way across until I get to the next corner, and then I will show you what to do after that. After working across the row ends, I really like the way this is turning out. And it reminds me of one more thing I wanted to share with you, and that is when I had the Afghan laying out flat, I just wanted you to know that I didn't do any blocking yet, and it may look like I may not even have to. I just wanted to mention that because at the beginning there were a lot of concerns from people about how this was going to work itself out, and I think in the end it just kind of, in a wonderful way, just kind of works its way out, both from the amount and the weight of all the yarn that goes into these. They kind of stretch and pull at each other until it works out. Well, anyway, we've gone to the last stitch, so go ahead and do 2 more single crochets to go ahead and turn the corner. Now this is the strand that we started out on our very first stitch. So what I'm going to have you do, I'm going to have you work in, if you can see what I'm doing here, in the foundation chain, and we're just going to work through the remaining 2 loops of each stitch, and I'm going to work over that strand so I don't have to worry about hiding it later. I'm just going to crochet over it. And if you're concerned about where to put your hook and if you're going to add stitches, what I like to do is look at the stitch opposite where you're working, and you'll see an upside down single crochet. You'll see the 2 strands of the single crochet. You just stick your hook in there, and that's an easy way to see the stitch. A lot of times the hook will just find the hole for you, and just let your muscle memory work there. You can see the foundation stitch there. Just stick it right in there and work over those remaining 2 loops. This is another reason why you don't need to go through all that extra effort. It is, in my opinion anyway, to work in the back bump on these things. Again, if you want to work in the back bump, you're more than welcome to. and then in that case you will be working under the remainder of the chain, which will look something like this, and you just work your hook under that. But I like doing it this way just as well. Either way works fine. So go ahead and single crochet in each stitch all the way across until you get to the next corner. Okay, once you've come to the last stitch, go ahead and put 2 more stitches in there so that you have 3 single crochets for the corner. And we're going to turn and we're going to work across the row ends just like we did on the other side. We're going to work a single crochet in each of the next 4 row ends. Okay, and then we're going to skip the next one and then work 1 in the next of each 4 row ends. This way we get about 4 single crochets per 5 row ends, and that keeps that end from getting a little bit wavy. And you're going to want that to be straight so that when we work the reverse single crochet or the knurl stitch along these edges, should you choose to do that, it'll be nice and even. So go ahead and do this all the way to the corner, and then I'll show you the join. Now that I've worked a single crochet along that other row end, I've come to the last stitch. I'm going to just add 2 more stitches to that same place just for the turn, and I'm going to use a slip stitch in that first single crochet of the round, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to chain 1, and I am not going to turn because I'm going to show you how to do the knurl stitch, or commonly called the reversed single crochet. Another word or name given to this stitch is the crab stitch. Whatever you want to call it, I'm going to demonstrate that for you. Now this stitch, as kind of a warning, it seems that a lot of seasoned crocheters have a hard time with this stitch. If this is you and you don't want to add this stitch, you can do one of 2 things. You can just leave the ends the way they are and be finished, or you could go around and do a slip stitch. Let me show you what that might look like. Okay, you can work a slip stitch in each stitch around if you like to. You don't have to, but that's another option of finishing. If you do finish with a slip stitch, make sure you don't do them too tightly so that you don't want this to be pulled. Again, or you could just leave it as is. Okay, I'm going to start the crab stitch or the reverse single crochet or the knurl, and I am going to use that, but I'm only going to use it on both the long sides on the row ends sides of the throw. But if you want to do this stitch as your last and finishing stitch, and this is as the pattern is written, just continue this all the way around in all the stitches. Okay, now I am only going to do this on the sides, so I am going to actually skip the first stitch, and I am going to begin my knurl stitch in the second or the center single crochet, just like this. Okay, in case you missed that, what I'm going to do with my hook is I'm doing this single crochet motion, but I'm going backwards. I'm going from left to right for righties, and I'm going from right to left for lefties. Okay, I'm going to stick my hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over. I am not trying to manipulate these threads in any way. If you try to manipulate these and control where they fall, I think you may drive yourself a little crazy. But if you just go backwards, it is a slower motion. Now another thing you can do is you can just stick the hook up into that stitch, pull it around, yarn over, pull through, just like you would, single crochet. I like to have the same consistent motion whatever you do, just so that this stitch comes out even. So I'm going to work this knurl or reverse single crochet all the way until I get to the first corner, and then I'm going to show you something a little different. I'm going to deviate from the pattern, and I'm going to add my own little finishing on the end. Okay, so go ahead and work this reverse single crochet to the first corner. Okay, after working the reverse single crochet or the knurl stitch all the way across, I'm going to save something special for this last single crochet. Now this again is for those of you who do not want to work the knurl stitch all the way around, but you want to do the something special that I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to work a reverse slip stitch, and I just put my hook in those 2 loops, and then slip, stitch. Just pull it through, give it a little tug so that you don't have a lot of a loop there. And then I want you to chain 2. Now we're going to turn. Now the front side has been facing us. We're going to turn, and now we're going to have the back side facing us as we begin the stitch called the woven stitch that I'm going to work across the row end. Okay, now in order to do this, we're going to start by working in the first stitch, and this is the way this is worked. Yarn over, insert the hook in, the 2 stitches, I'm sorry, insert under the, the V or the 2 top loops, pull up a stitch. Now you pull through 1 loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. That's half of the stitch completed. Now we yarn over again, insert the hook in the same space, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2 loops without wrapping. I know this is odd. It does take a few minutes for the muscle memory to catch on, but once your muscles catch on to this new way of doing it, it really does go more smoothly than it does at first. Then we're going to skip the next stitch. So we're going to do this in every other stitch. Okay, insert the hook in that next stitch. Let me try that again. Wrap the hook, insert the hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, we're halfway there, yarn over, insert in the same loop, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2. Okay, skip the next stitch, yarn over, insert the hook in the next loop, or stitch rather, pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert in the same place, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2 without wrapping. Okay, do that. I'll do that a couple more times for you. Skip the next stitch. Okay, we're going to wrap our hook, insert in the next, pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into same space again, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2. And so this is what you should have. And just to let you know, this stitch is reversible. So it really doesn't matter, which side we're on as we start this. It's one of actually my favorite fabric stitches, and I love finishing Afghans with this. It's not real fancy, but it's different and interesting, and I think it will complement the chevrons and diamond Afghan quite nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and work this across, and then I'll show you how to turn. And just as far as the yarn goes, I am on my 7th scan, and I do have an extra scan in reserve, so I do believe there should be enough in the yarn requirements to finish with this edging. If not, it's just a few dollars more, to quote one of my favorite movies, to get another scan. But hopefully you won't have to do that. I'm not having to do that, so hopefully this will all work out. All right, so let me go ahead and do this all the way to the corner. Okay, I'm coming to the end of the row, and I actually, instead of ending the next stitch here, I'd like to end it in the corner stitch. So I'm going to actually skip 2 at the end and make that last woven stitch in that middle single crochet of the corner. Okay, now I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to turn, and the front side will be facing at this point. And what we're going to do now is we're going to continue working that woven stitch, but we are only going to work in the spaces which are very clear here, here, here. We're going to work those woven stitch in between the woven stitches from the previous row. Okay, so go ahead and work that all the way across, and when you get to the end, you're going to just chain 2 and turn to work in between the woven stitches as we go. So I am going to work approximately 7 rows of this stitch back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and have you do the same. Work 7 rows, and then after you do that, you're just simply going to, once you join at the end of those 7 rows, you're going to work your last woven stitch here, and then you can just simply fasten off or finish off, however you prefer. And by doing that, you would just pull through and pull it tight. And if you wanted to, just do that and then clip the yarn and then pull the yarn through and then hide the stitch in your work. Okay, that's after 7 completed rows. And then once you do that, I'm going to have you join to the side right here that does not have the knurl stitch, and you will join with the front side facing. You can join in the next single crochet right here with a slip stitch. I would skip this stitch and then work in each stitch across, working that knurl stitch just like I showed you for the other side. And then once you work that across, then you turn to work across the other side and complete the woven stitches. Okay, I'll show you what I have after 7 rows, but you can go ahead and really finish this whole thing. And then after that, I will show you how to make some tassels should you like to add them. Okay, I've just finished crocheting 7 rows, and let me go ahead and count these for you so that you can see what I'm doing. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and I'm going to fasten off, and I'm going to do this by doing a chain, and I'm going to pull it, kind of tug on it there. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to make another chain and pull it extra tight. Pair of scissors, and very carefully cut, leaving a nice long thread. And that's so that we can thread that into our yarn needle. And by pulling it tightly like this, that way it's not in danger of coming unraveled. And then I'm going to just hide this into my work when I get to that point. And let me just show you how this can flatter the work. Okay, see how nice and even that looks? This is a really nice stitch you can complement. Again, this is an option. It's not required. This is something that I'm adding into it just to give it a nice look. Now, what we need to do is we need to do this and the row to work the knurl stitch on the other side. And let me show you right where you ended here, where we're going to join the yarn back so that we can work that knurl stitch. And we're going to join it. Just move the scissors out of the way. We're going to join it right here. I'm going to join in the next stitch right like this. Again, leave yourself a nice long piece. Let's go ahead and just do one of these threads around the back side. You know what? Let's I'm going to just do both of them around the back side like this. Okay, something I like to do to give it a little more security. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start in this first stitch. I'm going to go in. Remember, we're doing the knurl stitch or the reverse single crochet. Pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, so we're just not backwards single crochet, a little bit tricky. Okay, and you know what to do from here, so just go ahead and repeat what I did earlier in the video, working the knurl stitch all the way across the row end after it has that single crochet all the way around, and then work the 7 rows of the woven stitch across the other end. So go ahead and do that, and then when you come back, I will show you how you can make tassels to finish this project. Alright, we are now in the home stretch, and I want to show you how to make these really big, nice tassels. I'm just playing with the design a little bit. I'm finishing up the chevrons and diamonds throw, and I decided that I'm going to put tassels on all the corners, and I'm going to show you how to make those right now. what you're going to need is you're going to need a very sharp pair of scissors, or at least, you know, scissors that aren't going to just gnaw at the fiber, something that's going to really, you know, cut through with ease so that you have a nice clean cut. You're going to need your yarn. I'd recommend a crochet hook for trying to hide some of these little loose threads that we're going to have. And you're going to need a book. If you don't want to use a book, you can use a piece of cardboard. It needs to be this size. At least, I would suggest at least an inch longer than the size that you desire for your tassel. As you can see, this tassel I've made here hasn't been trimmed yet, so I am actually going to trim all my tassels once I get 4 of these made, and then I'll trim them all to the same length before I tie them onto my throw. Alright, now we're ready to wrap the yarn. I'm going to take my book, and if you'll notice, my yarn is a little bit curly. Okay, this is the yarn that's just come out of the center of a new scan, and anybody that's crocheted even 1 or 2 projects know that that yarn is oftentimes just really curly, and you know, it's definitely not as straight as this real pretty straight yarn here. I'm going to show you how to fix that, so let's just go ahead and use this and not worry about it right now, and I'll show you how to correct that before we attach it to the throw. Okay, so we're going to take the yarn, we're going to wrap it around this book, and I used 50 strands on the other one, so I'm going to do this 50 times. Phew, that's a lot of yarn. Okay, so now I'm ready to cut, and I'm going to cut very carefully. Even though I'm using this book as a mold, it's still a very special book to me, so you want to be very careful how you do this. And again, if you don't want to use one of your books, just get a piece of cardboard or, you know, something that's not quite as precious to you. Okay, I'm holding it here so that I keep all the yarn in line. I'm going to move my book over here. Okay, I'm going to lay this down flat. I'm going to take another piece of yarn, get about 12 inches or so, and I'm going to tie this around the middle. I'm going to do it kind of loosely at first. I'm going to let it dangle and see how I'm doing here. Okay, that looks like it's about the middle, so I'm going to pull it real tight. And I'm going to do it again. I like to do 2 knots. Okay, nice and tight. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Okay, so now we're going to cut another thread. Let's say about 8 to 10 inches long. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be forming kind of the head part of it right here. I'm going to just try to wrap it, and I'm going to use a knot, but I'm going to actually, let me show this to you a little bit more closely. Okay, so now we're going to want to tie this. I know this looks like a real mess here, but I'm going to show you how this magically is going to take care of itself in just a minute. So we want to try to get, you know, about this much, and it really doesn't matter, you know, how big this part is, as long as you do them all the same for your project. So I'm going to get the strings about even. Let's go ahead and give it a tie. Pull on both ends and tie it, and that looks pretty good. I've got it, you know, fairly tight, so I'm going to wrap these around. Okay, and then bring them around again. Hope you can see that. Now this time around I'm going to put the string under 2 times. Okay, this will just give it a little extra strength. Pull it nice and tight. Now I'm not going to tie a knot there because that would really stand out. So what I'm going to do to hide these threads is I'm going to take my crochet hook, there we go, and stick it approximately where I want the string to come in. I'm going to take this strand Okay, and I'm going to pull it down into the inside there, and it is gone. Now there's one more here I have to get rid of right here. I'm going to come right up in here and pull the thread just like that, and pull it down into the threads, and that is all hidden. Now we're not going to want to trim this yet, because there's one more thing I want to show you that we can do to make this look 100% better. Okay, here's my little magic trick. I have a small steamer right here. I think it took about 30 seconds for this water to heat up. And if you do use a steamer and you have one at home, do use distilled water or something like that in it, because otherwise it can, the chemicals or the minerals in the water can actually spit and hurt your fibers. Okay, so all you have to do is just very carefully steam the yarn. Make sure that you're not going to burn yourself, because the hot steam does get rather hot. And I think this is a lot safer than trying to iron your fiber, because when you try to do that, sometimes with acrylic especially, there's a chance that you can actually melt the fiber. So I don't know if you can see this, but it has come right out. Do you remember how curly this was? Look how beautiful that is now, just with a little bit of steam. This is a great little steamer too. I could probably hit the road selling these things. They fit right in your suitcase to carry with you. And anyway, so this is how you get all the curl out. And I'm going to go ahead and do this part too. Alright, so now I'm ready to tie this. Actually, there's one more thing. I do need to trim them up before I tie them onto my throw. I'll go ahead and turn my steamer off. I'm going to show you just how smooth that is. Now, what I need to do is I need to trim this nice and evenly. I just need to decide about where I want to do that, and I'm thinking about here would be good. And the nice thing is, if you make these a little bit longer than what you really need, you have a little more room to play with, you know, as far as trial and error goes. Alright, so I like that length. Now I'm going to measure it up against this one, just to give an idea of how much I need to trim. Okay, so I need to just really just barely trim this one to make it even. Okay, a little forgiving. Let's get that one there. Okay, so now I have 2 tassels ready to go. Let me get those extra. I like them to look really nice and neat and sharp. I know sometimes people like the messy look, and you know, if you like them nice and uneven, that's your prerogative, and that's fine too. All right, let's go ahead and attach them to our throw. Okay, there are a number of ways that you can do this, but the way I'm going to choose to do it is to use the chain 2, which is at the end of the row on the woven stitch. Now if you didn't do the woven stitch, if you just want to attach it, you know, to the corner single crochet, that's fine. I'm just going to bring in 1 strand, okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this into the tightest knot that I possibly can. Actually, I'm going to bring the 2 strands together like this, and then bring them through, and I'm going to pull as tightly as I can, like so. Now I'm going to take my needle for hiding yarn. Now in order to hide these loose strands, I'm going to take each of them one at a time. This is so that they can be hidden in the best possible way. Thread it through that yarn needle. Now work from the back side of the item, and I'm just going to work this down into some of the stitches. There's no really rhyme or reason, just kind of randomly. You want to make sure that these are well hidden, and I'm just going to go down even a few levels like this, I'm going to give it a nice little tug, but then pull back on it so that it's not too tight. And then you might want to go back up into some of those stitches so you have kind of a little more of you know, just to kind of secure it in a little bit like that. And I'm going to clip this close to where I have hidden it, but by all means don't clip your stitches. Be very careful on this. So I'm going to go ahead and do this again to the other strand, and I might take it over to a different place. I mean, maybe come in from this side, come down. Make sure I go under the thread and not split the thread too much. I'm going to come over here. So you can see, you know, you can do it however, you know, the goal is to hide this thread within your work. And then I'm going to kind of come up again to try to, you know, hide it back the other direction. Okay. And give it a clip very carefully. Alright, this tassel is done. See how it's attached very securely. That's not going anywhere. Okay, I've got 3 more tassels to go, but I am finished with the bulk of my work. Now there are other threads that do need to be hidden, actually quite a few threads. Let me show you one here. Now this, I had some problems with the yarn. There's a little bit of a knot in there, so I don't like to hide, I like to hide my strands. I don't like to have knots just popping up in my work. So I want to take my yarn needle, and this goes for, you know, all the places where you join the yarn. I'm actually going to try to put these together as I hide them and see if that will work. Since I'm working through some single crochets on the back side, always make sure you hide these threads on the back side. I'm just going to run them under the stitches like this. And also for those of you who are interested in entering your work in the county fair, I do have a new book out called Winning at the Fair that has a lot of tips and tricks for really doing well in crochet at your county fair. I go through the things that the judges look for when judging things, and when deciding, you know, who amongst all the blue ribbons, who gets the purple ribbon, the champion ribbons, and the best of show. Well, sometimes the only difference between the best of show and just a regular old blue ribbon is have all your threads been hidden. If they find even one thread hidden, that could disqualify you, or even just, you know, keep you from winning that coveted purple rosette or whatever, you know, the rosette is in your county or state fair. So make sure that you do take the time and effort to hide your strings as best you can. It will bless you in the long run, and whomever else you may, you know, gift such a present as this to. Okay, I thought you might be interested in seeing the final product. This is what we have, and with the ends, there are nice big tassels. I'm really happy with the way this came out. I really hope you liked yours. We had some concerns in the beginning about whether we'd have to block this and how severely with the way the yarn was coming out differently with the front post and with the trebles. But you know what? The weight of the yarn and everything has really evened itself out. I am not even going to block this, but that's just going to be a secret between me and you, okay? I really don't think it needs it, and I'm just really happy with it. So if you're all done with yours, or even if you're not, I would love to see your work. So you can always post it on my Bonnie Babe Crochet Facebook page, or you can send it to me at bonniebae@me.com. That's me.com. And if you give me permission to post it on my page, you know, just say, you know, please post. And I would love to share it. I know it encourages me, and it may encourage many others who've gone on this journey with us. All right, well, we got another crochet along coming your way in September 2018. Check it out. And don't forget to subscribe. God bless. Bye-bye.